Hello and welcome to Tracy Mommy Reads. I am back again with another video. Today, I am going to be doing something, I guess, that kind of like gives a nod to Halloween, which is tomorrow, okay? So that's why I have my little cat ears. Fun fact, like when my kids were growing up and, they were into the whole doing costumes and, going out trick-or-treating or whatever, this would be the only thing that I wore, like by way of costume. Sometimes I would have like a little kitschy Halloween shirt, but primarily it was just the cat ears to pass out candy at the door. So I'm wearing them today, like in celebration, I guess, for tomorrow. My kids are long past that now, and sometimes we don't even turn the light on Halloween anymore to pass out candy. But I think it's also fitting the two books that I'm going to be talking about today. Yes, two books, but they're related, right? Because they're part of a series, and they are. Let me reach over here and get these real quick. It is first up, Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. And I'm also going to be talking about Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver, which is the second book in the trilogy. It's going to be a trilogy with these three books. And I will talk about that, throughout the course of this video, and also why I'm probably not going to read the third book. Because I had never heard of Butcher and Blackbird. I think I've talked about how I'm on TikTok, but I'm not really on TikTok, at Tracy Mommy. But I like a lot of times I'll go drop a post and maybe look at the people I follow, look at what they've done. Then I kind of get out of there. Instagram is like where I feel the most comfortable. But I was trying to find at the point when I was doing the the Mafia books or whatever, I was trying to find one that had the most reviews and the highest reviews. So I did a filter on my Kindle, and one of the books that came up in that filter, which is not really a Mafia book, but it has some elements that we'll talk about, but it was Butcher and Blackbird. And they currently have, let me see, at the time of this filming, 39,000 reviews on Amazon, with the average rating giving this book a 4.5 star rating out of 39,000 reviews. That is crazy. And the more that I looked into it, when I read the blurb, I was kind of like, is that for me? I don't know if I want to read that. And then I did do some deep diving and went back on TikTok, and everybody was just going on and on how this book was just so amazing, so incredible. So I had to check it out. So let me just give you the premise in a nutshell. It can be summed up very succinctly. It is a book about two serial killers who only kill serial killers, and how they fall in love with each other. I mean, like I've said before, writers, I'm so proud to be in that brotherhood and sisterhood of creatives who can make up stories and create characters and get people involved in this madness in our head that we're able to put into book form. Who thinks of something like that? That is such a unique premise. It's such a cool idea. And again, like I said, in a lot of the Mafia books, it's mostly arranged marriages. It's mostly, how this woman breaks down this man who is just everybody fears, and he kneels before no one, but he always seems to kneel at her feet. It's that kind of thing. Some of them just only talk about violence and taking people down to the basement. Some of them, there have been a little one or two scenes or a paragraph about how they tortured somebody, but it's never really that dark or detailed, right? With the murder part, or the blood and gore. The scenes between the two characters, the sex scenes, are the things that are mostly dark or more explicit than anything else that they're doing in the books, right? But in Butcher and Blackbird, this one was totally different. So the first scene out the gate, I will tell you, there's like maggots involved. We get a very explicit detail of a corpse. And you know how somebody unalives somebody. I mean, the trigger warnings, they have like she has a page or a page and a half of trigger warnings for this book. But yet, I still went forward to see what was happening. And while it isn't a book on its face that I probably would have ever gravitated towards, something just made me like, okay, if you can, you know, get past the squeamish parts of this first chapter, let's see what's really going on here. And I'm glad I gave it a chance. I really am, because like I said, I felt like it was a very creative story, very well written. Yeah, full of dark, crazy stuff that happens in there, but also very intriguing. The way that the author describes some things and stuff that she came up with and how she chose to pull that story together. Essentially, what happens is Butcher, who refers to it could be a double entendre, you know, because he's a chef, but he's also a killer. So his name has dual purpose, but his real name is Rowan. And the female character in the story, her name is Blackbird, and she is like this blackbird. I think she has a tattoo, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of like her nickname, but her real name is Sloan. And I think she does something with science in a lab, I think. I read that book back in April, so I'm really, I read Leather and Lark more recently, and I knew I wanted to do a review or a video talking about them together. So this one may be a little bit long. I'll try in the editing process to cut some of it if I don't feel it's necessary. But anyway, what happens is when the book first opens, like I said, it is a very gruesome scene, like literally and figuratively, the way that she writes it and where the character actually is. She's apparently gone to, kill someone, Sloan, and got locked in this like room or cage or something with the body. And she's been there for some days. And Rowan, who was also coming to get that person, finds her, okay? And he's the one who lets her out or whatever. So that's going to be the last of the spoilers. But I just want you to know how they met. Because like I said, they are serial killers because they've killed multiple people, right? But they only kill serial killers. So one could argue, are they doing, they're doing the world a justice or a favor by getting rid of these people. But they often are tracking the same people. And because of the way their mind works, because at the end of the day, they're also killers, the way that their minds work, they're able to kind of figure out who's committing these crimes, ahead of law enforcement. So they know who it is, and they start to, stalk these people and, track their moves so that they can get them and get rid of them. Well, they start this thing where they have this friendly game where Rowan's brother, who also, we'll talk about him because he appears in Leather and Lark, he gets the details on someone who may be committing crimes, and he'll just give them a location. And then they have to figure out who the person is and, go there and dispatch of them. But it's like first person who gets there and first person who kills them wins. And so in most of the instances, they get there around the same time and they're trying to figure out who the person is. And, it's like a game. And I forget what the prize is. If it's just boasting rights that I got to them first, or there was something actually at stake. That part is a little murky. I can't remember that. But it becomes a challenge. And as sick and twisted as it is, it's something that bonds them, okay? So they actually do this. They continue their regular lives, their jobs, and their killings. But once a year, they're meeting for this game. Several years pass where, that's the only time they really have come in contact with each other. But every time you can, tell that they're becoming more and more attracted to each other. It takes all kinds, you know. But I think also when they're talking to each other, because it's just normal people don't do this kind of stuff. You start to learn their backstories and why they're this way and what created them. And they are, you know, finding that out about each other and learning that, oh, there's somebody out there who truly understands, you know, they're living the same life. They've gone through some similar things. And so it's pulling them together. So after one of the last times that they, I mean, that was not the last time, but after one of the, you know, meetups or whatever, it's like, I think that they start to realize that there's more here. You know, we're looking forward to seeing each other more than we are this game that we've created. Again, very twisted game. And so then we get into the like romantic aspect of the book. And I will tell you, I mean, it's a slow burn in that regard. There's all kind of other stuff going on, obviously, throughout the book. But with the regard to those two characters actually getting together, I want to say maybe the book was halfway over, if not even more than that. And when they do, it's just as detailed and graphic as some of the crimes that they're, you know, committing. The author does not hold back. So if that's also, you know, that's not something that you're into, like, you know, getting like really gritty details of sexual situations, this may not be the book for you, because it's like no holds barred in any, you know, regard or respect. It was pretty obvious to me towards the end, because the other thing, like, okay, so, you know, you get all this stuff going on with these serial killers that they're tracking and their game, and then they act on their, you know, feelings for each other, and their family is in the background. Rowan has he has two brothers, Theon and Lachlan, and Sloane has a best friend. I don't know if her real name is Meadowlark or if that's what they just called her because she was a singer, but she goes by Lark, right? L-A-R-K. And they're involved in it, and I felt like, oh, they have too much of a role in this book for this. There's going to be a spinoff or something, you know, it's going to happen. And also because towards the end of the book, like somebody is gunning for Sloane and Rowan, like they know what they did and they're coming for them. And first of all, I guess you have to be kind of crazy yourself or dangerous to come after some serial killers. So, you know, it was someone who, I don't want to like give this part away, but it was someone that they knew, right? That was trying to not only come between them, but also kill them. And, you know, they had to do what they had to do to eliminate that threat. And it's just the way that it ended. I felt like, okay, there's going to be something else that comes from this. And lo and behold, you get book 2 in the trilogy, Leather and Lark. And Leather and Lark, like I said, you know, Sloane's best friend's name was Lark, so she's the female character. And Leather refers to Rowan's brother, Lachlan, who he does something with leather goods, like, you know, like if you are looking to have some hide or something repurposed into a vest or a belt or shoes or something. He's really good with that kind of stuff, which requires a very sharp blade, right? To get that kind of thing done, okay? So you already kind of know where this is going. Because, you know, in Butcher and Blackbird, we got some background on Rowan, and we learned a little bit more in this book about the three brothers, their background and their upbringing and what made them, you know, the pretty dangerous men that they are today. And Rowan, you know, had these tendencies like where he wanted to hurt people and hurt things. And that's how it got channeled into finding people that nobody would miss, people who maybe deserved to be hurt or whatever. And that's, you know, how he channeled his rage and his anger. And Lachlan, aka Leather here, he works for a guy who helped the three brothers out of a situation, and he's kind of been beholden to him for most of his life. But he's like a, you know, whatever this man asked him to do, basically. He'll, you know, clean up bodies and crime scenes. He may, you know, kill somebody or rob somebody. He just does, he's a jack of all trades, right? So and Lark, they were kind of like oil and water, you know. I think initially in the first book there was like this little attraction, right? Because Lachlan is like a loudmouth, he's a character, but we learned that all of that, you know, stuff that he does outwardly, it's to kind of cover up the hurt little boy inside, which that may apply to a lot of people who are just so over the top and have these huge personalities and want all this attention, and you're just like, why, you know? So we learned that about him in this book. But in this book, they're more like enemies than they are, you know, friends or potential like lovers or whatever, which I thought was interesting, because the book before that, the way it ended, I thought that they would really be, you know, like they would jump into becoming a couple pretty seamlessly. Not the case. Not the case at all in this book. And this book also has over 15,000 like reviews on Amazon, which brings their star rating to, again, 4.5, 15,000 reviews. The only problem I had with this book, I didn't have too many problems. I mean, because you go into Butcher and Blackbird, you know what it is, what you're getting, even just from the blurb, and then, you know, going down the rabbit hole and seeing like the stuff that people were saying about it, and, you know, I looked at a couple of reviews, so I had no, you know, illusions or delusions about what I was getting. So everything that I got in there, I expected. Weirdly, I enjoyed, if you can say that about a book like that. With Leather and Lark, not so much. Based on the way, like I said, the way that these characters appeared in the previous book, it seemed like it was such a 180, you know, like they were totally different people in this book. Like Lark, she was like a up and coming, you know, indie singer. She knew that song, what she was doing by way of those murders and stuff, and she too, you know, would have preferred her to channel it in hurting people who maybe people that deserve to be hurt, right? But she had her back, and she helped her sometimes try to win against Rowan when they would have those challenges. Something bad had happened to her in her past, and, you know, Sloane was always looking after her and, you know, being her protector and that type of thing. In that book, the first book, I got the impression that Lark was like she was loyal, and she would, you know, do whatever her friend needed her to do, but that she wasn't a major player. Like she wouldn't ever be capable of doing anything like that. Well, in this book, apparently Lark was very capable of doing things like that. And I don't know, like maybe because we just didn't get enough of her background. Like she apparently was from a criminal family, you know, a family who ran a criminal organization. And, you know, it's just all kind of stuff that I just was like, this just seems weird. Like you just created, you know what it reminded me of? I don't know if y'all are familiar with Rena Kent's books, right? I cannot think of the last book in her series. I have to put it here in the video. But the very last book in that series, you know, the God of Ruin, the God of Fury, and all that, God of Pain. The last one, I think it was the God of War, if I'm not mistaken, with Eli and I can't remember her name. But anyway, the female character in that book had appeared in 4 or 5 books before that book. Not once did we ever get any inclination that this person had some type of mental illness. All of a sudden she had mental illness in this book. So I felt it was like that a bit with Lark. I mean, as you go into it, it becomes a little bit more believable, for as much as these kind of books can be believable. But initially I was like, Lark, she can do all that, but she couldn't do the thing when the thing happened to her. You know, it was weird to me. I don't know. And having said that, I really like the chemistry between Sloane and Rowan, but I don't know, with Lachlan and Lark, it seemed a little forced to me. I don't know that I liked it as much. And then it didn't help matters that, you know, like for me, not only was their chemistry lacking, they ended up having to do like this fake marriage. So there was a whole fake marriage trope in this book as well. And most of it was spent with something that had come from Lark's past that they were trying to, deal with. Then you also realize that some of the things that they were dealing with was some fallout from something that happened in Butcher and Blackbird. So she tied that together pretty well. But other than that, yeah, I just wasn't a big fan of this one. That the third book in the trilogy, it comes out in February of next year. And it's going to be called Scythe and Sparrow. And remember, I talked about their brother Fionn. It's featuring him and a woman named Rose. And at least at the end of this book, because in Butcher and Blackbird, Rose, she just seemed like she was like some sarcastic woman that Finn had come across, because he's a doctor and she had a broken leg, and they had this weird energy between the two of them, but they both seemed so harmless. Well, at the end of this book, Rose, we see her in a different light. So I think that's going to be to build up to the third and last book in the trilogy, of painting her as a femme fatale type person. It's going to be interesting though to see how they do Fionn's character, because he's like the baby brother and kind of an innocent, and he's a doctor. So maybe, after what happened to them when they were little kids, maybe he also has a dark side, and the author's going to explore that more in that book. Don't know that I'm that interested in it, to be honest. That's one of the reasons I have always maintained that I'm not big on series. Because like, you follow these characters from book to book, and either one of two things happen in my experience. You either get just a drawn out story of the same characters over and over in these books, where the author is just like, beating a dead horse, or two, these characters do a total 180 where they're not even the same person. Like, and I know there has to be growth with the characters and they have to be on these arcs or whatever, but sometimes they seem so unrealistic. It's like, maybe if you would have given us something else that made a little bit more sense, we could have accepted that, or maybe I could have accepted it as the reader. But yeah, I don't know that I'm as interested in Fionn and Rose's story that comes out in February. But who knows if it's on Kindle Unlimited and I can get it for free, because this book I got was book of the month, and I think it was like $10 or something. It was like an add-on. And then Butcher and Blackbird, for my Kindle, they were having like a flash sale, and I think I got this either for $3.99 or $5.99. So every now and then I do pay for books, but most of the time I'm trying to get them from the library. I'm trying to get them on Kindle Unlimited. I think I pay $7.99 a month for Kindle Unlimited. Just the amount of books that I have read so far this year with my Kindle Unlimited membership, it's like I should owe them money, because typically one book may cost you $5.99 to $7.99 on Kindle, and at least every month on Kindle I'm reading minimum 3 books. So I feel like that's a really good deal, because I'm reading more. There was a time I was on it where I wasn't reading as much, and I wasn't finding very many good stories that were available with Kindle Unlimited, so I canceled it. But I've had it now for almost a year, and I am enjoying it immensely. So that was a random sidebar. But anyway, yeah, Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Lark. We'll have to see about Scythe and Sparrow, whether or not I get into that book. So let me know your thoughts. Have you read any of the books in what the author calls her Ruinous Love Trilogy? That's what it's called, the Ruinous Love Trilogy, with these 3 brothers. And something else, I'll take a sidebar here. All of the covers for both the books, I like how they give us, I think I did a video on this like last year or something, the Easter eggs in book covers. But like, I guess that's Sloane and Rowan. There was, there's a meat cleaver here because, he's a chef and he's also a butcher of men. Bones, there's a blackbird. there's like the cityscape for where they were living, I guess, and there was a situation with a chainsaw. So I think that's pretty cool. And then in Leather and Lark, because that's, I guess that's Lark and Lackland, she was a singer, so you got the guitar and the microphone and the notes, but then like he was really good with a knife, you know, so you have that, and then a leather jacket because he did that kind of stuff. So yeah, I always like when the authors give us those little Easter eggs. So anyway, have you read them? If you have, let me know your thoughts in the comments, you know, or do you think this is the type of books that you would ever read? I never would have thought that I would have, you know, picked them up, but here we are. Here we are. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, please take the opportunity to do so now. Thanks again. And you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy Halloween. Be safe out there. Bye.